Okay, so this is kind of like a follow-up to one of my other videos. I'll put a link in the description for part 1, I guess. And I was questioned, so adding power to this line here, that you can see that line that it's cut, adding power to that line there that already has power turns the ignition on. When he worded it like that, I was kind of like, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Adding power to what already has power. So I decided to investigate it, thinking maybe that line is earthing out and not actually adding power to it, but earthing out. And so I decided to earth it out and blew a fuse. So don't earth it out. And that fuse is to the dome light. Now that's a good thing to know, because I've always wanted to be able to manually turn off that dome light, and you can't, not in the Falcon. When you open the door, the dome light's on. There is no override switch so you can turn it off. Now that I know that that fuse is for the dome light, I might actually put a switch in so I can override that dome light. Anyway, so what's actually happening is when I add power to that line there, and you'll see the scan tool come live and the ignition is on. What's actually happening is that power is putting power to this, going to that line there, going to that line there. That's the line that's actually getting power. When you put power to that, it bypasses the ignition. So oh crikey, so uncomfortable to sit here. Now that I'm looking at this with a bit of light, I can see there's a wire there that needs taping up. I don't know how that happened. Looks like the plastic on it split. So it's not adding power to what already has power, but it's adding power to that line there. And even if I start the car like you see in part 1, I can then take the key out and the car's still running when there's power on that. Now that's not the only way to bypass the ignition. I'll show you another way. This fan relay here, now if I was to jump the power from there to there, which is what would normally happen when you turn the ignition on, power would go across there, allowing power to come across there, turn the relay on so the fans come on. What I'm doing is bypassing that. Now I can't show you, hang on, I won't press stop so you can see there's nothing on there. Now bypass this relay, putting power directly from there to what would be the ignition. My power fan's cut in because I've got them bypassed, and there you got the ignition on. You can see my scan tool's powered up. And also, if you want to start the car without going underneath the car, by the relay here, you can go. Okay, so I also found out something else interesting. Even though I can get the ignition on through the relay and I can do the ignition on bypassing that line there, I still needed the key to start the car. Once the car started, I can take the key out and no worries. But I needed the key in there for the initial start. So even though I can jump the starter motor to crank the car over, and I can bypass the ignition so the ignition is on, I still need the key for the initial starter. After that, then you can take the key out. So it's still good, like it's still, unless you have the key, you can't pinch the car. But if you break down and you have no ignition, there's 2 ways there that you can bypass the ignition to get ignition again rather than bypass it. There's 2 ways there that you can get ignition again. So if you've broken down the side of the road, something's happened, you don't know what, at least you can get ignition back on so you can get going again. I think I said in my first video, but if not, I'll say it again. It happened once before. I was helping someone on the side of the road. If you turn the key, the car would start, but it would only stay started while the key was turned. As soon as you let go of the key, the ignition would turn off and the car would stop. If I had known I could bypass it back then, I could have helped him better. Hopefully this helps somebody out of trouble. Anyhow, I think we've cleared that up, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.